Hello everyone and welcome to 843 TV. We are here in Beaufort today. I'm your host Wayne Morris with WHHI-TV.
And I'm your host Carrie Smoot from the Village Spa.
We are here at 1 Beaufort Town Center. You may know it as the building with Moe's and Jimmy John's on the first floor if you're coming here for lunch.
It's a really pretty building.
It's beautiful. And we're on the third floor in the corporate office of 303 Associates, which is a very beautiful office, and we're in their conference room.
Yes, and speaking of 303 Associates, our first guest today is Dick Stewart. He is the president of 303 Associates, so he's here to talk about the new construction and several things going on with the buildings.
Lots of renovations, and yeah, we're excited to have Dick. He's a great guy. He'll be our first guest. Next up, we have Joe Lee, who's always a fan favorite with Town of Port Royal. He'll be talking about, they've got a great concert series coming up this fall.
The fall concert series, which is kind of hard to believe.
Concerts, you know, it's amazing. So be sure to tune in for that part of the show. He's going to give you all the details on that.
And then last but not least, we have Mr. Will Wareham. He is the account executive for the Beaufort section of WHHI-TV. So he's here to talk about several of the things coming up for their fall programming, which of course includes football coverage.
Of course.
And a couple of the new shows that they have coming on. So make sure that you stay tuned to more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Port Royal comes to speak.
843 TV, where 303 Associates comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We are here now with Dick Stewart. He is the president of 303 Associates. How are you?
I'm fine, Carrie. How are you?
Doing great.
Great.
So this morning we're here in the conference room of 1 Beaufort Town Center, which is a beautiful new construction. But today we are talking about the construction that's going on out back. So tell everybody a little bit about what's going on out there.
Thank you, Carrie, and thanks for being here. We're expanding the parking at this building and adding a new building. That building will house an ATM for one of the local military credit unions, as well as a tenant that we can't name today. We're expanding the parking because our clients have found that ample free parking is important to attracting their customer base. They don't have sufficient parking now, so we want to make sure they have room to grow. We expect that project to complete in about 3 or 4 months, and we'll look to make some announcements on those tenants. I can tell you we're very excited about the prospects we're negotiating with. And it's one of a series of buildings we expect to see started over the next year. We're looking at a 35-unit apartment complex on the marsh back here, which will add to the area as well.
That'll be great
It's a
views
great problem
too,
to have.
for the apartments.
Yes, thank you.
And you're right about the parking. I mean, this building has been a huge success. At least it appears that way. When I come here for lunch, I mean, there's the parking. The new parking will be much needed and much appreciated, I'm sure.
Well, thanks. The lunchtime traffic is pretty interesting. We see our restaurants growing nicely in this building, and the restaurants that are next to us over here are exceeding their budgets, so we're pleased about that. And we find that folks want to live in an area where they don't have to drive all the time. And so by putting housing here where you can live, work, shop, and play in the same area, we think we'll reduce people's overhead, because a car costs at least $800 a month to run in the United States. And if you can put that into housing instead of a car, you can really improve your lifestyle for people. And we look forward to contributing to that.
More exercise too.
That's what I hear, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and Dick, you've got renovations getting ready to start down at on Boundary Street at the town center down there.
Well, Councilman Lee, we're delighted you're here, and since you're an elected official, you know it's hard to predict exactly when those things are going to start. And the South Carolina DOT is in charge of that project, working with the county and the city. So we're very excited about the $23 million in taxpayer-funded improvements in this public access here. Partially because we see a lot of wrecks, so it's going to be much safer on this corridor. But secondly, it's going to be a better appearance. It'll have bike paths. It'll be also interesting because we have 3 stoplights involved in our property, so easy access in and out into a very busy traffic way is going to be important. What we find interesting is our folks are concerned about the construction process itself. They're not concerned about the completion. They're very interested and excited about that. What we also find is that this road out here, Boundary Street, which was the Shell Road during the Revolutionary War and the Shell Road during the Civil War, is the main corridor over to the Sea Islands, is increasingly becoming the commercial core of the city, because while the historic downtown clearly is unique and special, having access to City Hall, having access to the County Government Center, having access to restaurants and shops and hotels and lodging and having ample free parking is attracting folks like investment bankers and dentists and doctors and people who want to have their customers get easy access and make it easy to find them.
Sure.
So we're not sure how long that project's going to start, but we think the sooner it gets started, the sooner we'll begin to see some of the benefits that will flow out of that.
I know everybody's looking forward to it.
Thank you. And speaking to the exercise issue, we think the bike path that's going to run down the far side of the highway here and go on the side next to the marsh is going to be a real amenity for folks who like to bike and walk in this area. So we're pretty excited about it.
That's great. It's a great alternative, like you were saying, to downtown. There's room for both.
Well, our goal when we did this development was to complement downtown, and we're invested in the downtown Beaufort area. So what we'd like to see is this be a place that you can avoid some of the sprawl that has ruined the life in many of other places, and have an area where you can concentrate a commercial core and complement the historic downtown and see those areas infill between each two and seeing investment and renovation in some of those historic communities.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thanks. It's working out okay.
Good.
We'd like to have a little better economic situation nationally, so if any of your viewers can help with that, we'd appreciate it.
Buy something.
Speaking of downtown Beaufort, I understand there are 2 historic buildings being renovated in downtown Beaufort. Can you tell us a little bit about those projects?
I can. One of our companies is the Beaufort Inn, and the Beaufort Inn has 2 buildings under renovation now. One is the Shepherd Cottage, which is on the corner of Scott Street and Craven Street. It's being converted from a hair salon into 4 suites for the Beaufort Inn, and the Beaufort Inn is a historic bed and breakfast. And a second building, which is particularly interesting, is the Edmund Rhett Law Office. The Edmund Rhett Law Office was the office of a 5-time mayor of Beaufort. He was chairman of the first railroad, chairman of the first bank. But he and his brother Robert Barnwell Rhett were the fire eaters during the time of secession, and we think he actually wrote the Articles of Secession in that building because that was his law office. What's intriguing about the building as well is after the Civil War, well, during the Civil War, it housed the 1st Massachusetts Regiment. We have handwritten in pencil on the wall some of the notes from those soldiers when they were recovering from injuries inside that space. And afterwards, it housed the voting records, which were leather-bound books for many years, up until the 1960s, which were taken by car and by carriage and by boat to people who vote throughout the county. So it's particularly interesting, I think, that the Articles of Secession, the Massachusetts infantry, and then you've got the voters' rights where freed slaves could vote for the first time, all resided in a relatively small building. We think both of those will be open next month. The Rhett Cottage law office is being converted into 2 suites. And we think if folks are interested in either African American or civil rights or Civil War history will be particularly interested in what it might feel like to spend a night in that cottage and experience some of the uniqueness that has existed there and nowhere else.
Wow.
That's just one of the many reasons that Beaufort was recently voted the happiest little seaside town. Is that
Happiest
correct?
coastal town, that's right. And
So I'm sure with that, you guys will not have a problem with pulling in even more business, because this is a really neat place.
well, we're expanding because our customers do indicate they like coming and they like to visit. And as a compliment to Councilman Lee, I would point out to you that USA Today recently did a feature article about Beaufort being selected as the friendliest coastal town, which shows a picture of his town, Port Royal, featured picture. So we're all of in this.
Those are good neighbors, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good
Well,
situation.
real quickly, one thing I wanted to get to, we got about 30 seconds here. I know there's some discussions about changing parking scenarios downtown. Would you care to comment about that quickly?
Sure. We're heavily invested in downtown, and we believe in the historic downtown, and we believe in historic small towns with special historic districts like Beaufort is. And to allow our businesses, including the tenants that are in our commercial buildings as well as our inn, to grow, we've reached agreement to buy the parking lot that is on the corner of Charles Street, Port Republic, and bounded by Craven Street downtown, to provide sufficient room to assure that there'll be parking for all of our future needs. And we have a history of cooperating with Main Street and the Beaufort, City of Beaufort, to provide additional parking opportunities. We will continue to do that. However, some of the parking areas that we own that are currently using for private parking will be used to develop residential properties downtown, and some will be used to develop additional commercial properties downtown, part of the Beaufort Inn. We would expect to add another 20 rooms to the Beaufort Inn over the next 2 to 3 years as demand warrants that on areas that are currently used for parking.
Cool.
Wow, big news. It's
Big news and a lot of information and not quite enough time. But
We got a late start.
Not going to talk about that. Well, thank you very much for being with us today, and make sure that you come back for more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We are here now with Mr. Joe Lee. He is the town councilman for Port Royal. How are you?
Great, Carrie. Great.
So it is almost time for fall, which makes me nervous. But the fall series of street music concerts is coming up. So tell everybody who's on your list.
We'll do that. Yes, we have 4 more concerts left. And I'm going to read these because I want to be sure they get them right. August the 31st is Dwayne Dopsy and the Zydeco Hellraisers. September 14th is Levad and Lewis with Smooth Jazz. September 28th is the Blues Masters. And ending up on October the 5th, which is the evening after the Shrimp Festival in Beaufort, we have the Carol Brown Celtic Band. So it'd be a great way to end your weekend in Port Royal.
That's awesome. What a great weekend that'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get fat on shrimp and then hang out with y'all afterwards.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Joe, can you tell us the history of these concerts?
Well, yeah, Dick, we started 8 years ago programming these concerts, and we have 2 sessions every year. And so we've now had 16 different concert seasons. Each season is 4 different performers. So we've had a ton of music available to the residents free on Paris Avenue.
Wow.
Very popular.
Yeah, that's great. Free is good too.
Yeah, free is good. Free's good.
How are performers selected for the street music series?
Well, the Street Music Series is managed by Artworks out of Beaufort Town Center. And J.W. Roan and Artworks their goal is to provide us a mix of music. So they look for different artists, generally that are available in a normal swing through their concert season. So this makes a logical stop for them on their concert tour. And we try to get, as I said, a mix. And this year we have 3 different concerts that are repeats, that are by popular demand. So that's a good thing. And Zydeco folks have been here 3 times.
Awesome.
Great.
It's a great concert.
Yeah. So you were saying a mix, you try and get a mix of the genres,
yes.
the types of music, and that's smart. That's
Some
what
for
you
the
gotta do.
children,
Yeah.
some for the adults,
It
some
really does
dancing
appeal to
music.
everybody.
Yeah.
Right, and so you just get a broad mix. And people ask me who's performing, and I said, I don't care, I'm going to go. Because I'm sure I'm going to
It's gonna
enjoy
be
it.
fun.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but we do that.
So when do they actually make the selections?
Well, they make them a year ahead of time.
Oh, wow.
Because we want to get into the sequence of their travel. But we never stop, and if any viewers have people that they'd like to see, they can contact the town, and we will try to get that group here. We had a group last spring from Roanoke, Virginia. So that was a group that our town manager had heard. And so we try to accommodate everybody.
What's the process? Do y'all like get the CDs in and listen to them?
I
or
think
websites?
JW does that.
Okay.
And now with YouTube, he can
Yeah, it's
actually
easy.
see them.
You
It's
can
not hard
access
to find
anybody.
people now, is it?
So, and that's I'm sure the way he
Cool.
works.
Awesome.
So how do residents participate? Because everybody always has questions, like you said earlier, some are more kid-friendly. And if it is kid-friendly, what do you bring?
Well, what's interesting is this fall, by the way, all the concerts start at 6 p.m. and we block off a block of Paris Avenue from 10th Street to 9th Street. And we start about 5 o'clock blocking the street off. Well, people can bring their coolers, they can bring food, they set up tables and have dinner there. You can back your cars, bring your golf carts, and it's completely free-flowing. And so some people even sit on the front porch and listen to the music. So we tried to plan it so that it's a payback to the residents of Port Royal for putting up with all of us that are elected officials over the long period of time.
So, just to kind of recap this topic, all the events are on Saturdays, right?
They're always on Saturday.
And they're always the same time,
at
right?
6 p.m.
In same place.
Same place, unless it rains. In the case of rain, we move it to the shed.
Okay.
We do that we make that decision around 2 in the afternoon because we have to set up the sound. In the event that the shed is tied up with another event, we can move this to the skateboard park. It's a pretty interesting venue to have music because
Probably has
the
great
kids can sit all over the ramps and the skateboarders staying around trying to get us out of there. 'Cause
You're invading their
it's a great outdoor venue and it does provide shelter from rain.
And so should people bring their own supplies?
Bring their own supplies, bag chairs. You usually wear out a set of bag chairs in Port Royal every year with all these concerts plus the others. So we
So to find a schedule and find times and who exactly is going to be there, just go to portroyal.org.
Yes. And look at the ticker that's under this show. We have the dates on that as well.
I don't live in Port Royal, but I think the Port Royal Farmers Market in the morning and the concerts at night just make for a great Saturday in
It's a
Port
full
Royal.
day, yeah.
They keep you busy, don't they?
Yeah, and that's a tribute to our town staff. Our public works guys help set up the farmers market, and they're there all day and setting up then for the concerts and then tearing down. So it's a long day for them, but it's a lot of fun.
And real quickly before we close the segment, you know, Beaufort Water Festival was obviously a huge deal for everybody recently.
Yeah, it's great.
And what was the impact in Port Royal? Did you guys feel it? I mean, how did it work for you?
I think we had a lot of visitors from Beaufort that came during the day and visited our shops and ate in the restaurants, and that's exactly what we had hoped they would do, is they would get away and relax a little bit and go back to the water festival at night, because the night stuff was great all at the water festival. But the restaurants and the businesses enjoyed a big increase in business.
That's great. Good.
When everybody looks forward to this time of the year, it has been a very hot couple of weeks. So as much as I don't like fall coming, I guess it's great to look forward to. So
it's great for HHI too. So you're going to do football.
Yeah, football. Are you kidding me?
It's a very, very busy
This is like
time
Christmas
of year.
for men.
I'm learning my love for football and golf. I've been struggling with those two the last couple of years. Well, thank you very much, Joe, for being with us again. So if you want to find out more information about the fall concert series, make sure that you go to portroyal.org and come back for more 843 TV.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We are now joined by Mr. Will Wareham. Will is account executive for WHHI-TV. And our Beaufort liaison, so he's a Beaufort guy all the way.
That's right.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously, this week, football in the Lowcountry begins, high school football. And WHHI-TV is entering its 6th season doing local high school football. What can you tell us about Beaufort in this series and the games we'll be covering there?
That's right. Football is in the air, and you can feel the electricity, both in the college level and the high school level. WHHI is thrilled to enter our 6th season covering local high school football and bringing it to Lowcountry viewers. We'll cover 10 games. 6 of those will be north of the Broad. We start this month with a Whale Branch home game. We also feature 2 Battery Creek High School games and 2 Beaufort High School home games, including the Bridge Bowl, where Bluffton comes to town. And Bluffton, of course, made it all the way to the state semifinals last year. So that'll be a big game in October. We record these games on Friday night and then premiere them on Saturday at 11 a.m. just before the college game starts, and then they'll have 10 weekly airings of local high school football. So it's a real way to support local high school football and youth athletics here in the area. So
And a great opportunity to really highlight some of the awesome high school athletes that we have around here too. If you're not a huge football fan, you don't really understand how talented these kids really are.
I mean, Beaufort High alone has sent 3 or 4 guys in the past 3 or 4 years to big-time D1 schools.
Straight there.
So, I mean, Beaufort's got a great hotbed for really good athletic football players.
Yeah, you can see the stars of tomorrow today.
That's right.
On WHHI-TV.
Without having to go to the game. That's right.
I know football's big, but what other sports do you cover on HHI-TV?
Well, in addition to local high school football, we also cover local high school basketball, which is very exciting. We also have a weekly program called Golf Center. That's a half-hour program.
I can't imagine doing golf here in the Lowcountry.
Exactly, yeah. That's right. Golf Center is a great show. It's hosted by a former ESPN Sports Center anchor, Bob Stevens. And we've even started to cover local tournaments, local golf tournaments. We started last week with the Hilton Head Open down in Colleton River, where local Bluffton resident John Patterson shot a 62.
Oh wow!
To win the Hilton Head Open, and so that you can watch the Hilton Head Open on WHHI-TV, and so that's added to our sports coverage.
Wow,
that's awesome.
That's great. Do you have any other new programs you can tell us about?
We do, Dick. Absolutely. We have a new show called The Real Estate News, which is a subject I know you're pretty familiar with. And we found that a lot of our viewers and residents in the Lowcountry have a vested interest in the real estate market, whether they're owners or in the industry. So we find it's a great vehicle for viewers to learn what's going on in the local real estate market, and also an excellent platform for buyers, sellers, and brokers alike to shop open properties. So the real estate news is a half-hour program on every day on WHHI-TV.
And does it cover both north and south of the Broad?
Yeah, it does. It covers all Beaufort County, Jasper, and Hampton County.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Cool.
And speaking of local news, WHHI now actually provides true local news. So tell everybody a little bit about the Beaufort news and when can they watch it?
Absolutely. So, you know, in Beaufort, we're really in the Savannah news market. So when we watch some of the network news, we're getting
Doesn't make any sense.
Savannah news, you know what's happening in Savannah. So we find that people value true local news. So we have a half-hour broadcast focused exclusively on what's happening in Beaufort, South Carolina. And that's part of a 90-minute news block that WHHI produces. We have a half-hour Hilton Head news, half-hour Bluffton news, and half-hour Beaufort news. And those play every night at 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Channel 8 on Hargrave Cable and Channel 3 on Time Warner.
Well, I've heard great things about that. People are really excited about the local news. And when you first get here, if you kind of stay in your own little bubble, people are like, oh, it's kind of sleepy. There's nothing going on. I'm like, what? There's always something going on no matter where you want to be.
And
Plenty happening.
And what we found, too, is, you know, Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beaufort are all three great communities.
They're all very
But they're
different.
independent,
Yes.
you know? So that's why we have the Hilton Head news, the Bluffton news, and the Beaufort news to give the people who live in those towns their own identity and their own hyper-local news, which you can't get anywhere else.
And they're all growing very quickly.
And it's repeated during the week.
That's
so
right.
if you miss it, you can pick it
get
up.
opportunity to watch
And
it.
if you miss it completely, you can get it on YouTube.
The next week.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. All of our programs are available on YouTube.
That's great.
Well, this next question is very near and dear to my heart. So for the viewers in Beaufort specifically we're talking to today, they may have Comcast, they may have DirecTV, they may have Dish Network, and they're watching us on YouTube right now. They're not getting this great programming that WHHI provides in their home. So tell everybody about what we're offering as far as an option to have a voice and speak to those providers to get WHHI.
Absolutely. So we're available on Channel 8 on Hargrave Cable, but we're in constant discussions with the satellite carriers, DirecTV, Dish Network, and Comcast to have WHHI added to their spectrum. Viewers at home can help that effort by visiting our website, WHHITV.com, and completing and submitting a petition to their carrier of choice, who they're currently a subscriber with, and requesting that WHHI-TV be added to their to their provider's spectrum. And that would go a long way towards bringing WHHI-TV into your home.
Yeah, it's a quick and easy form. It takes literally 5 minutes. So if you have DirecTV or Dish or Comcast even, please go to WHHITV.com and click that icon and fill out that survey, and we're going to do our best to make sure that WHHI is in your home in the near future, if possible.
So you can get real news of what's going on.
That's right.
Nothing bad about Savannah, but I don't really care what's going on in Savannah because I'm not going that far.
Well, thank you for being here, Will. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. And thank you to everyone out there for watching 843 TV. We'll be back with another episode very shortly. And stay tuned to WHHI. And thanks for watching 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.